Nevin.
How are we doing?
Ooh, you gave me a shock last week. I've come to enjoy our Monday evenings, Pat. And there I saw you alongside David Moyes, new coach at West Ham. And I thought, one, he's abandoned us, and that's very bad news. Two, he might have mentioned it to us. He doesn't owe us anything. He might have said something. Thankfully, that was not the case.
I would have left a little hint. Trust me, I would have left a big old hint. Don't worry. Like, wow, I love West Ham. They're one of my favourite teams. Something like that. But it was the funniest thing because I woke up in the morning and, turned my phone off on about an hour later and it just went mad. And it's all, congratulations on your new job at West Ham and well done. And people wanting to phone and interview you. And I'm just thinking, well, that's interesting because I didn't know I was.
How much am I getting paid?
I know. I can't remember. Have I got an agent who's done a job for me that I didn't know about? And I just laughed. I thought it was very funny because obviously you know what's happened. Like Moyes is a good mate. They've seen P and Nevin and they've thought, yeah, go for that. But I think it was the Daily Mail that originally went big on it, and a few others picked up on it afterwards. And I just thought it was absolutely hilarious. And I don't do Twitter a lot. I've got a Twitter account. I don't do it a lot. And I had to get on really quickly and just have a bit of a laugh with it. And more importantly, whoever made that mistake to say, look, it's an easy mistake. I didn't want whoever it was, he or she, to be sacked for it either. But it was absolutely hilarious. Having said that, had I been given the job, I wonder if I'd have taken it. You know?
Well, interesting question. P. Nevin, by the way, for people wondering, P. Nevin, former Norwich and Brighton coach, is who has gone in with David Moyes, hence the confusion. Well, I was wondering if you would have taken it, because I was reading a recent interview you did actually with the Daily Mail, seeing as you mentioned the Mail, and they asked you about management and why you had never been involved, really, and your answer was short and to the point. You said, because I like life, was your answer.
Absolutely. I mean, I love football, as you can tell. I'm very interested. I mean, great job that I've got just now, running around the country and running around Europe and sometimes around the world, watching football games and talking about it. But there's other things I've got in my life that I want to do, and like, if you do management or coaching to that level, you have to give everything. It means interest, hobbies, family, you name it. If you're going to do it right at that level, you're just completely and utterly consumed by it. And I've never kind of been that type of person. I don't think that makes me a bad person, but I'll own up to it and put my hands up. And it's one of those things, don't go into that job half-hearted. Really, don't do that. Don't expect it to be a 95. So I never, ever had interest in it. I did, however, have some interest in doing individual training for individual players. And that sort of thing of looking at them and breaking up technically what was going right or wrong with them. I've always found that quite interesting. But it's quite specialised, and not many teams would be involved. I mean, I've been asked once or twice to do it on a few occasions, but other than that, no, it wouldn't have interested me greatly. And that doesn't mean you don't love football. It just means you're allowed to love life too.
I'm sure. I think we all understand why a manager's role is 24/7. The phone is always on. There's always a player with some problem, probably outside of hours, and various things to be discussed outside of hours. Is a coaching role less demanding, as you understand it, in the modern game? Can a coach underneath an overall manager switch off a bit more come 5, 6 o'clock?
Yeah, I suppose what level of coach you are. If you are the assistant,
say West Ham.
Yeah, if you are the assistant, the main assistant to the coach, or one of the two main assistants to the coach, there is still very limited amount of time to turn off. And to be fair, going to that level wouldn't have interested me either, because there's a bit of, if you're going to do a job, you want to be doing it. I mean, I've had a brilliant quote from Seinfeld recently. He's trying to explain his interest in life, and he said, if someone offered him, a big yacht to go on, or a surfboard, he takes the surfboard because he wants to be in the water. He doesn't want to be sitting on top of it watching other people. He wants to be in it. And that's the kind of thing I feel. Anything I want to do, I want to be kind of controlling of it and doing what I want to do in it, not under somebody else being told what to do. And I've been fortunate enough in my life generally to be in that position. And if you're an assistant coach quite far down the pecking order, I don't know, I wouldn't really fancy that at all. I mean, you do it if you need to do it. People have to work, we all have to work. But it wouldn't be my first choice.
No, fair enough. Obviously, limited games at the weekend. The winter break continues. Sheffield United beat Bournemouth. I think you were at the game. I certainly want to ask you about the job that Chris Wilder is doing. Everton 3, Palace 1. That's 17 points out of 24 for Ancelotti. So, you know, it turns out he is a good manager. And Brighton and Watford drew 1-1. So Carlo's working his magic, as we might have expected. Just on Jordan Pickford, who let in a soft goal, and quotes of kind of, I think it's because it's a quiet weekend. They're not that extraordinary, but people are talking about them. So what he said was, the press, everybody, the punters, look at Gary Neville, everyone hates you for some reason. I just get on with it. Yeah, it hurts. I know I have been good for England. This is not remarkable. Well, the point I was going to ask you, so I'm sorry to interrupt, but what I wanted to ask you was, this is, you know, the cut and thrust of football. You know, the temptation would be to ask you about dealing with criticism. But in your current role, and say Gary Neville as well, do you ever get a pang of guilt? As in, here I am, being paid to stick my oar in, give an opinion. I don't know what's going on necessarily with Jordan Pickford. He may be carrying an injury. He may have certain things going on. I've caused upset to somebody, maybe their family as well. Is that a thing that hits you as a pundit?
You've asked me a lot of questions over the last few years, and that's my favourite that you've ever asked. It really is. Because to some people it wouldn't be important. You'd get a pat answer. You'd get a line, oh, I'll just tell it like it is, kind of thing. Actually, no, that's massively, massively important to me. Because I never wanted, there's a number of things, if I'm talking about football and footballers, and I have to try and remember what it was like. That's what you're asking me for, professional opinion, what it was like. Now, if I'm thinking that, I'm thinking what it felt like when someone had a dig. Now, I was quite fortunate, it didn't happen very often in my career, but I can remember it when it did. So when I do say things about players, if it's never vicious and nasty just for the sake of it. And I try never to be clever in a snide way. Yes, you can be funny. But if you say a reason why, I was talking about Dean Henderson, right on subject, right on topic before the game, seeing an interview with him. And he came across as super confident. And I made a point of explaining what the difference is between being super confident and being an arrogant git. There's a difference. There's a line. And that's the line that I think about. So when I'm answering these questions, there's not always a binary answer, because that's kind of what the media want, and that's where the headlines lie. But I'm not going to give you that. I'm going to give you something nuanced. I'm going to give you understanding. If someone's sort of dropped a clanger and had a stinker, you just say it. It's okay. They should know too. They should get it. But lines like, oh, he's an idiot, or he's stupid, or what the hell was he thinking? That's useless. What you say is, right, this is the reasons why. So if he drops a clanger, my first thing I'm going to look at and go, okay, what were his angles like? Was he in any way? There was a goal a couple of weeks ago. Aretha Balaga let a goal in. And it was a really important goal against Arsenal, second goal, and everyone was digging him out about it. And before they'd seen it a second time, and I'm thinking, right, okay, he's a guy under pressure just now, but I'm going to look at it first. And I'm not giving them the benefit of doubt. I'm just going to be honest. There was two people blocking it. There was no way he could see that goal. No chance. Not a hope in the world. But because other pundits have said, he's a terrible disgrace, they cannot back off that now. Or they will not back off that now. So when I say something, I'm very, very specific about it. I will look at it. I will consider it. And if it's badly wrong, I'll say it's badly wrong. You've made a mistake. I won't call him an idiot for doing it. And I'll try to think and understand the reasons why I do it. Because people don't make mistakes like that for no reason. There's usually a reason. It might be lack of concentration. It might be whatever. Give information. So that's the difference I am with some other pundits. I would hope that my position is to enlighten a little bit. Okay, if you want a headline, go somewhere else. It's not me. It's not. I'm never going to be the guy to give you that. So have I ever been discomforted from it? Yes, there have been occasions like that. But I've always thought, no, I'm absolutely, I've given you every bit of information. I've tried to cover you in every sort of area. And that is quite simply the truth, as I see it. But I've really considered it. So it's considered. Whereas if you're on Sky and you're on whatever every single day, you need to shout, you need to ball, you need to give it. And you'll have it in Ireland as well. You know, and for John Giles onwards, everyone knows it, everyone sees it. I just don't have to play that game. So maybe it's a bit different for me.
Yeah, because it always strikes me, you know, well, I've often thought about it myself, even here, even asking the question sometimes, because we are always on the outside. We never know exactly if a player is heroically battling through a chronic injury as opposed to desperately underperforming for months on end. And I hate not knowing that when we discuss a player. Or Jesse Lingard, for instance, over the last year has been criticised for his performances. Like, rightly so, his performances haven't been good, but then he came out and explained that, well, his mother is very ill. He's looking after his brother and sister. He's spending, I think one of them is being homeschooled because they're finding the situation so difficult. He's running from training to look after them, to parent-teacher meetings. His mother is ill. Oh, and by the way, he's just had a newborn baby as well. And he eventually had to knock on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's door and say, no, I can't cope. I've got a lot going on here, actually, and it's draining my energy a little bit. Now, for the 4 months up until that moment, and he goes public on it, we're just saying, I saw the video he did in holidays in Miami where he's acting like an idiot. He obviously doesn't care very much. Doesn't seem like a great fella. And we're always juggling with the lack of information.
And all you actually can go in is with the information that you have. And you feel that saying, as a journalist, I'm a partial journalist myself, I almost want to say, well, okay, give me the information and let me speak. But of course, sometimes it's personal. Sometimes there's difficulties. I had the same problem when my mum was ill and dying. I was really struggling, and I remember getting a bit of stick somewhere when I was playing and thinking, being angry, but not being angry for long, because I thought, well, you don't know, mate. You just don't understand. There's no way you should understand. And I understood. I took that on board. But it's easy to be like that if you're the sort of person who can have a wider view of things. When you're in the midst of it, when you're under that amount of stress, it's very difficult. That's the most impossible time, to get your head above the parapet and see what the hell's going on. So yeah, you do try to take that into consideration as well. That's why I'm never particularly snide about anyone. As people who I think are less good, say we're managers, I don't think I've ever said the phrase, sack him. I don't think I've ever said it. I've been working in this business for quarter a century. I don't ever said it. But I've said, look, he's got limitations there. There's his strengths. Is that going to be enough? That might not be enough, and they might get relegated. Then you need to make a decision. So but that's not going to get a headline, is it? The headline is, I'm going to hammer you. But there's plenty of guys out there doing that. There's millions of people out there doing that. It just doesn't interest me, because I want to see the bigger picture. And I do try to dig in to get as much of the picture as possible. But sometimes it's quite simply impossible until afterwards. Yeah. And I can't remember a single time where I thought, oh my God, I can't believe I said that, because I never thought, can I take you back to when it happened? Right, I'm going to take you just jumped in the day it actually happened, right? So, and it's nothing got to do with football. So I was playing for Chelsea, and I was writing for the NME, music, and I was writing for various other music magazines, sometimes under an assumed name, sometimes under my own. And I'd done a singles review. And I did a singles review of a Depeche Mode early single, right? And I wasn't a big fan of them. And it was a bit curt, a bit slightly snide. And it was very much in the music press way of writing. Anyway, out it went, and I never thought another thing, because there was about 10 other interviews in it, bits in it. He was a Chelsea fan. And he was a big fan of mine. And he got somebody to get in touch. He said he was a bit disappointed and saddened. And I just thought, I can't play a note. Well, I can actually. I can play a bit of clarinet, but I couldn't play anywhere close to what he could do. Yeah. What a cheek I actually had to be that smart aleck about it. And I just thought, no, I'm going to be like that. Critics are pathetic that way unless they are considered. And I was about 21, 22. Since then, I never done it.
Yeah, no. It's actually a painful lesson to go through at this end. I can relate. Come on, you're going to go up to yours? No, there's too many times. There's too many times I've driven home from here and thought, wish I just, yeah. You feel like you're sticking your oar in sometimes without all the information, and you can go home and not feel good about it. So it's a routine thing on this show sometimes.
Yeah, I rarely feel it, and I've had a couple of people come back to me. Martin O'Neill, he was one, phoned me up one night. I'm absolutely digging in there, having a right good go, and I'm going, tell me what's wrong. And in actual fact, 20 minutes later, 30 minutes later on the phone call, we were laughing and killing ourselves laughing at all the stupidity of it all. It was fine after that. Yeah. There's been one or two people, but there's usually, it's not what you said or what you even intimated, it's something else. And when you can dig down to where that is with a person, it just releases, and it's fine. And that's the 2 or 3 times it's happened in my life. That's what's happened.
One last question in all this. You've been in elite dressing rooms. Have many players made it to elite dressing rooms and still at the same time found the criticism of pundits very difficult to deal with, and it's affected them or their confidence?
I would say most have suffered with it at some point. Really upset, and including managers, including coaches. I found it stunning. The story, I remember once playing for Scotland, and at the end of the game, we'd done okay, and we got a draw, and it was up at Hampden Park, and we were really pleased with that. And we come back into the dressing room, and the coach and the manager, instead of coming and talking to us about this great effort we came in, they went into this wee side room, and I was walking by, and I heard them saying, how will we play this in the press? And I'm thinking, sod the press. Get your players in there. They're the people you need to deal with first. They're the people you need to talk to. You need to say whatever needs to be said to. What about the press later? They're secondary. So that was coaches. They were doing that. Some players got really, really riled with it, took it very, very personally. And it feels personal. It very, very rarely is. You just happen to be in the way. And it's like a journalist. If you get done in a newspaper, it's not you they're aiming at. They just want a wee story. And you have to be that one person removed from it. But that's easy to say for some of us, because some of us could do it. For a lot of them, they got very, very angry, and it did sometimes affect their performances. And it's more, I would say more were affected by it than weren't. It's that bad.
Right. Guess we're all human. I mentioned Carlo at the top. Turns out he's a good manager, I said, because it is funny when you think back before the 17 points from 24 points. There were even misgivings out there about Carlo Ancelotti. Well, I mean, he can do it when he's handling world-class players. Is Everton, is he going to be able to get a trick out of this group? And, well, he seems to have done very well. What's he doing? What's the difference in Everton?
Well, you have to look at the scores. You have to look really closely at the scores, right? I've got lots of friends who are Evertonians, and I've watched it as much as I possibly can. And are they that much better than they were before? Not sure. Not sure about it.
Okay.
So what is it? Tiny little differences. That's often what they say. Simplified it. Quite often going for a 4-4-2 just now. That's the simplest formation for most players to cope with. Everybody knows exactly where to go. There's no thought processes. It's just structure and organisation. So you get that. You get the right bits in the right places. But tiny little changes like getting a bit better from everybody. Now, that means different things to different players. Like, classically, Walcott, he's just kind of never really done it to any level regularly with Everton. Suddenly he's on a really good run of form. Well, you need to try and find out why that is. It's under Carlo. I look at other players. I mean, Calvert-Lewin, the obvious one, right? Calvert-Lewin suddenly is a much better player. Now, there might be technical reasons for that. Big Duncan's talked to him, done a wee bit of coaching. But if you notice in the newspaper, Carlo's saying he could be one of the great strikers in England. There goes his ego and confidence as well. There, it's gone. He's just said a phrase. And suddenly, there, the chest is out. He's standing tall. He feels like the main man. And the confidence has completely changed. Tiny little things like that. And it's just like that. And it's almost, from a distance, looks really, really easy and really simple. And it's not big changes, because you have a look at all the results. Since he's come in, that win, the 3-1 win there at the weekend, is the first time they won by more than a goal. All the wins by a single goal. It's just that. That's it. That's the width of a post. That's all that is. That's a refereeing decision. That's a tiny, tiny little percentage. It's nothing more than that. And that's the difference that he's made. It's been amazing to see that small little things of knowing, right, that's the correct 2 centre-backs, right, we stick with them. Not complicated. There you go. That's all you get. Knowing players. Richarlison's a great example. I guess he is the perfect guy to get the best out of Richarlison. Because Richarlison, if anything, you get a feeling he doesn't have a huge amount of respect for anybody else's opinion above his own. You just get that feeling about him as a player, as a person. And that's fine. Lots of players are like that. Particularly creative, skillful, certain types of players. Carlo Ancelotti's been dealing with them all his life. Getting them all his life. He knows how to do that. He knows how to manipulate them. They're not big, complex characters to him. Is he anywhere close to the more complex ones that he's dealt with? Well, probably not. So he's getting the best out of him as well. So I love the fact that he's getting all these tiny little bits that are a wee bit better, adding them together, zoom, straight up the league. And now he's got that team that we always thought was a decent team in there, and there he's got it. There's his decent team. They're not a lot more than that. They're just a decent team. But that's good enough in the current Premier League to get up to 7th. It's lovely to see. It's great to see. Can I say one last thing about that? Well done, Everton. Because what a big call that was to get Carlo Ancelotti. It's just as you said, just that we all thought, big manager for big teams who have got big players. But to go for him and to have, the cojones to go and get him, spend the money, and it turning out to be an absolute cracker of a decision. Well done, Everton. That's a beauty.
Yes, turning out that way. Sheffield United then, they beat Bournemouth 2-1. They are 4 points ahead of Manchester United. United do have a game in hand, but still 4 points ahead of United. They are 2 points off a Champions League spot. I mean, you kind of can't not give Jurgen Klopp Manager of the Year. You just kind of can't. And yet, Chris Wilder, I mean, can they split the award?
You look at now, if you keep it going till the end of the season in top 5, dare say top 4, you've got to say that's as good as you've seen for forever, really. It's an amazing change. And you look at how many of those players that came through leagues with him. I mean, how many of those players have got a lot of Premier League experience? It's just so limited. He comes in with new ideas. He's changed the system slightly. He's got 3-5-2 now. It was 3-4-1-2 before. It's not that big a change. It helps. I mean, I've chatted to this before, that teams that come in with 3 at the back confuse the Premier League. Conte did it and won the Premier League with it, but everyone sussed it the next year. So you had to adapt. That's fine. Will Chris Wilder adapt? Well, I was wondering about that. At the game the weekend, I was blown away by him. I thought his changes were absolutely fantastic. And they were that subtle, but they were that effective. So they're 1-0 down. They're getting hammered for the first 20 minutes. Bournemouth are passing them to death. They're trying to pass it out through the midfield from the back, and they're getting cut out every single time. And then somebody goes down after 20 minutes, he grabs a couple of them over and he just explains 2 or 3 things. I didn't hear what he said. Game changed totally in that second. They started playing it more direct, but also wider and longer to stretch the game, using the wing backs in a slightly different way. Total change in game. And, 10 minutes after that, utter domination. And that utter domination continued for the rest of the match. So he's got little adaptations he made were brilliant. I mean, really quite brilliant. He's also managed to keep what looks like the fittest team in the league. Those players, it's not only fitness. And the classic one was McBurney. The end of the game, he had cramp with 15 minutes to go. But with 1 minute to go, he was still chasing into a corner. And you're thinking, how are you doing that? They will do anything for him. They will buy into everything he wants to do. And it's all about effort and fitness. And again, it's not often you say it, but they were far fitter than their opponents. Man for man, they were just fitter. They were just shut. And it's an unusual phrase to use in the Premier League. But they were noticeably fitter than Bournemouth. Now, Bournemouth have got 1, 2, 3 players coming back from injuries. And if you've got, it's like if you looked at a rugby game, if there's 1 guy or 2 guys who's injured and not fit, the opposition will find that gap. That's where you're laying. In football's kind of exactly the same. You can't keep up at that level unless you've got 9 to 10 at least that are absolutely firing all cylinders and are bought into it when you're playing against 11 that are buying into it 100%. And that's what he's got just now. It's stunning to see. He's got the advantage. There's no European football. He's got the advantage of there hardly any injuries at all, particularly that back 3 and that midfield 5. He's done one other brilliant thing. He brought a new player in, Berger. And I don't know if you've seen him. If anybody watched him, this is great. You watch this one. Now and again, I give you one of these to watch, right? This is a cracker to watch, right? He's 6'5". He is hopeless in the air. He's useless. It's the worst I've ever. I've been listening in one game. If he's that bad, it's actually going to become really obvious. He's actually brilliant on the ground. It's a bit of the Torre Andre flows, if people remember that. Used to think he'd be a great big centre forward. He wasn't. He was hopeless in the air. But he's a great centre forward and his feet were great. But this kid, he's 21, 22, and he just walked into that team. And the best sign you can ever see for a new player, as soon as a new player comes in and he gets in and he's in front of one of the guys who's normally there, you think, okay, one, you've got to respect him, you've got to like him. And the way to find that out, do they pass it to him immediately?
Yeah.
They were hammering the ball, giving them the ball. They rate him. 2 weeks in training, they know he can play. And what that tells me is Wilder is adding really well at this point, and he's fitting in players that will walk into that side and do a job as well. it's really hard to see a negative at any place. And the fans were brilliant as well. What a buzz about the place. I mean, I had a great day. I loved it. I thought Sheffield were fantastic.
Okay, great. Very interesting. I think we're done. I think we emerge from this with our conscience clear as well.
I don't know. We've all got things wrong. The thing is, if you do get it wrong, just say, sorry, that was over the top. And that kind of works as well. I once made a mistake to Dunfermline. This may be online, so anyone who's looking, who's got a computer in front of them, it may still be online. But I was doing a Hibs v Dunfermline match, and I'm a Hibby, and I'd said Hibs would hammer them. Anyway, some guy made a song up, and it was called Pat Nevin Idiot, and it was a cover of who's the band that did, American band that did that. It's genius. It is absolutely brilliant. And when I saw it, I immediately got in touch with a guy and said, "That's class, mate. Hands up."
I mean, you got to be careful now. You could have a new intro song here. We got to be, you know.
Oh no, go for it, man. I don't take myself that seriously. Pat Nevin Idiot's good for me, man.
Listen, thanks so much. We'll see you next Monday.
Look forward to it. See you then.